Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at some more live support requests. Question number 78 on practice test 1. Question 78, the length of a rectangular solid is 10, the width w and the height h. Follow the relationship w cubed h times h cubed is equal to 27. What is the volume of the rectangular solid? So here is my rectangular solid, right, and I'm trying to find out the volume. The first thing you have to realize, or the first thing you have to know is, well, how do I find the volume of a rectangular solid? And you should know that the formula is length times width times the height. Okay, and now what does the question say? It already tells us that the length is 10. So I know that my length is equal to 10, so L is equal to 10. So what do I have here? I have that volume is equal to 10, which is my length, times the width and the height, but I have no idea what my width and height are, right? I'm not given the values. However, I am given some information, right? They follow the relationship that w cubed times h cubed is equal to 27. So I have w cubed times h cubed, or height cubed, is equal to 27. And now I have to manipulate this equation because I want, if I can actually manipulate this equation, I can actually figure out what w times h is equal to, right? Look at it. I have a cubed here and a cubed here, right? What if I go ahead and take the cubic root of it, right? What if I take the cubic root of this? If I go ahead and take a cubic root of one side, I must do it to the other side. So I'm asking myself, what is the cubic root of 27? Well, think about it. Right, you should already know this, actually. The cubic root of 27 is 3, right? Think about it. 3 to the third is what? 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So 27 to the cubic root of 3 is going to be 3. And then over here, since I am taking the cubic root of w to the third power and h to the third power, the exponents simply cancel out, and I'm left with w, which is the width, times height, is equal to 3. Well, now I know that w times h is equal to 3. Well, take a look at over here, w times h. I already know what w times h is. W times h is 3, so I can go ahead and plug this 3 in this over here. So I have that volume is equal to 10 times WH, which is just 3, and the volume is equal to 10 times 3, which is 30, which is going to be answer choice G. Question number 79, figures not drawn to scale. AC has a length of 10 and R, the radius is 7. What is X? Okay, so that means this is my midpoint over here, right? It has to be my midpoint since I'm telling you this line over here is the radius, right? And the radius touches, of course, the center. This is actually a very easy question. Sometimes it looks very tricky, but it's really not. Take a look at it. It's saying that the radius is 7, R. The radius is 7. That means that R is equal to 7, so this line is 7. But hey, look, I'm asking for X, but what's this? This is also my radius, is it not, right? It's touching my midpoint, going through from the center all the way down over here. This is also my radius, and I know that R is equal to 7, so it's B. R is equal to 7, right? If I have a line over here, this is also equal to 7, this is also equal to 7, this is also equal to 7. These are all my radiuses. So the answer choice to question number 79 is B. Question number 80, find the length of x. Well, since I have a right triangle here, I have to use a Pythagorean theorem, which is going to be a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And I'm trying to find out x, which is going to be essentially a squared. So a squared plus, well, what's the value of b? The value of b is 10. So 10 squared is equal to 12 radical 3 squared, okay? And now I know that 10 squared is going to be 100. 10 times 10 is 100, right? Plus a square is equal to, now here's where a lot of people mess up, okay? When you're squaring this entire thing over here, you have to do 12 squared and radical 3 squared, okay? You have to do both of them. So 12 squared is 144, right? 12 times 12 is 144 times radical 3 squared. Well, whenever a radical is squared, you're canceling out the radical, so it just becomes 3. All right, so now you have to do 144 times 3. So what is 144 times 3? 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So I have 432 plus 100 here, a squared. And now I'm trying to solve for a squared, so I can go ahead and subtract minus 100 from both sides, and I am left with a square is equal to 332. This is my answer. However, this is actually, yeah, this is my answer. I have a squared is 332, but actually, this is not my answer. I don't know why I said that. You have to go ahead and square root it, right? You're trying to figure out the value of a, right? Not a squared. So if you picked k, that is incorrect. All right, so now you have to take the square root of 332. So a is equal to square root of 332. If you take a look at the answer choice, of course, it's not there. You have to go ahead and further simplify it down. And you should, if you actually divide 332, you'll see that radical 4 times radical 83 is equal to 332, and radical 4 is fantastic because it is a perfect square. So radical 4 is simply just 2. So a is equal to 2 radical 83, and you can't do anything else with the 83. So this is your answer, 2 radical 83, which is going to be answer choice H. Question number 99, a rectangle is inscribed in a circle. Okay, the rectangle is tangent to the points A, B, C, D. If the diagonal of the rectangle is 20 inches long, what is the area of the circle? So you want to go ahead and first draw it out, right? So a rectangle is inscribed in the circle. So here's a circle, and my rectangle, remember, the rectangle is tangent at the points A, B, C, D. So that means that the rectangle is touching all the corners. So here's one corner, here's another corner. Here is my rectangle. Oops, sorry about that. That is a very ugly rectangle. All right, so it looks something like this. Forgive me. Forgive my drawing, but it looks something like this, right? And then the diagonal of the rectangle is going to be 20. Okay. Well, what is special about this, right? How is this information useful for us? Well, if the diagonal of this is 20, right? Remember, it's touching from all the way from one point to another point, meaning that it must be crossing the center. Therefore, this value is actually my diameter of the circle. So my diameter is 20, and now I can go ahead and very simply use the formula A is equal to pi r squared. Well, if the diameter is 20, the radius is half of that, which is 10. The radius is 10 squared pi, which is going to be 10 times 10 is 100 pi, and the answer is going to be answer choice D. And finally, let's go ahead and take a look at question number 99 on practice test 1. Given x to the sub n is equal to x sub n minus 1 plus x sub n minus 2, what is x sub 6 divided by x sub 5, knowing that x sub 4 is 3 and x sub 3 is 2? Okay, first of all, let's go ahead and look at this equation that we have here. X sub n is equal to x sub n minus 1 plus x sub n minus 2, and we're given that x sub 4 is equal to 3 and x sub 3 is equal to 2. Well, first of all, you have to go ahead and, use this information to your advantage, okay? So somehow you need to go ahead and use these values for this equation over here, okay? Well, I know x sub 4 is going to be 3, and I know that x sub 3 is going to be 2, so let's go ahead and try to plug it in here somehow. What can we do here, right? So x which sub n, right, is equal to, and since we know these two values, why not just make our life very easy and try to get this x sub n minus 1. Let's try to get this equal to x sub 4, right, because we already know this value, plus, let's take this x sub n minus 2, and why don't we try to make this to x sub 3, right? Just look at it, okay? So now how do you go ahead and do that? Well, in order for me to make this into a x sub 4, n has to be 5, right? Because 5 minus 1 is 4, right? That means that if n is 5, n is going to be 5 everywhere. So x sub 5 is equal to x sub 5 minus 1, which is just 4, plus x sub 5 minus 2. Okay, which is 3, and that works out perfectly, right? So now, take a look at it. X sub 5 is equal to x sub 4, which is 3, plus x sub 5 minus 2 is 3, x sub 3, which is 2. So now I know that x sub 5 is equal to 5, right? This is very important, okay? What is the question asking? What is x sub 6 over x sub 5? So the great thing is now I know that x sub 5 is equal to 5. Now I still have one more goal left, right? I have to go ahead and figure out what x sub 6 is equal to. So let's go ahead and try to delete some stuff over here. So I know that x sub 5 is equal to 5. And now I can do the same exact thing, right? I know that I need to find out what x sub 6 is equal to, okay, since I'm looking for this value. And I'm going to plug it into my formula. X sub n, which is 6 minus 1 plus x sub 6 minus 2, and 6 minus 1 will give us x sub 5 plus x sub 6 minus 2 is 4, which is x sub 6, and the great thing is that we already know what this and this equals to. X sub 5 is 5 plus x sub 4 is 3, so x sub 6 is equal to 8. So x sub 6 is equal to 8, and I know x sub 5 is equal to 5, and now, ultimately, I'm trying to look for this, right? So x sub 6 is 8 over x sub 5, which is 5, and the answer is 8 over 5. Answer choice C.